Hey, it's Matthew Hudson with Workwear Safety Shoes here, and I want to talk to you about anti-fatigue mats. Now, many of your businesses may be using anti-fatigue mats like the ones I'm standing on right here. Now, these are great, all right? They actually have a real good benefit for the employees. When I'm working and I'm standing, maybe I'm in a kitchen counter, or maybe I'm working in an assembly line or a parts assembly along the line. I'm getting the support underneath me. That's great, right? It makes a lot of sense. In fact, when I'm standing, it's 2 to 3 times my body weight of downforce that's going on my feet. When I'm walking around, it's 3 to 5 times that downforce. So as a 200-pound guy, that means I'm anywhere from 400 to 1,000 pounds of downforce constantly on my body all day long. Right? And when I'm standing in one environment and I'm standing on an anti-fatigue mat, it helps reduce that fatigue, that stress. Instead of letting it come back up into my body, it dissipates it down, it takes it away. That's what anti-fatigue mats do. However, there's some downsides to an anti-fatigue mat. Number one is the fact that this is my anti-fatigue mat, meaning that if I were to leave the anti-fatigue mat to go over here and get some parts or to go get something, I'm no longer protected. Right? In fact, studies show that as much as 25% of the time, the employee is never standing on the anti-fatigue mat, which means a quarter of the work shift. So if I'm somebody who works, an 8-hour shift, that means 2 of the hours, I'm not even on there, right? 6 of the hours I am, 2 of the hours I'm not. I'm not even getting the benefit of that 25% of the time. Right, so that's one disadvantage. The second disadvantage is this. You'll notice that if I move to the side and I'm up here watching, watch how my ankle can roll off that edge, because these have to be thick enough in order to provide the support. But now I've got an uneven surface in my working environment, so I can roll off. Now this is a 6-inch work boot that I'm wearing. Most of the employees, a lot of them will wear an Oxford style, especially in the kitchen environment, right? And so when they step off, that ankle will roll completely. And so we've seen workers' comp claims from injuries that way. But the third thing that's a disadvantage to using these anti-fatigue mats is the fact that when I move over here to get my parts, when I come back, we see people trip on them. Okay, we have, again, lots of injury claims filed on the job when this is supposed to produce less fatigue and help the employee, but actually causes injury because they trip over this uneven surface. A lot of times we'll see it along an assembly line where there's a mat, and then there's a mat, and then there's a mat, and the people move up and down that line and they trip up over that kind of thing. So what's the answer? Well, I guess I could do one long continuous mat, but now the pricing is just getting out of hand. There's a better answer, and that is an anti-fatigue insole. Okay, now this is the one that we carry. What makes it better is a couple different things. Number one, we use an ultra high density foam, so we're getting all the same benefits that we're getting from this anti-fatigue mat, but we're getting it underneath both of my feet. And since it's inside the work boot, I'm getting it 100% of my work time, not just 25% of my work time. In fact, I'm even getting it when I go take a break, okay, or I go to take my lunch. I'm still getting that support. The second thing is you'll notice that an anti-fatigue mat is flat across the top. Look at when you get an insole. See how it's contoured along here? This will help push into the arch and the shape of that foot. And so I'm getting support around my heel. I'm getting support through my arch line in addition to reducing the fatigue and stress on that body. When we interview employees, what we find oftentimes, say the guys that are working the 8, the 10-hour, 12-hour shifts, they'll tell us that their body starts to break down. They start feeling the fatigue. They start feeling tired. They start feeling the stress from that work day, or about 75% of the way through their shift, which means that the productivity goes down like that as well, which is why companies invest in anti-fatigue mats, is to increase productivity. But you see all the downsides to those anti-fatigue mats that you gain back with an anti-fatigue insole, but even more so with this. In fact, if you do have a 100-employee company and you're trying to protect 100 employees with these mats and giving them each one of these small mats, and you switched from this to these anti-fatigue insoles, you could save your company as much as $15,000 a year. That's significant. In addition to that, your employees are going to love you a lot better too, because this is a lot more love for the foot than what this is going to do. This will produce almost double the benefit of what these anti-fatigue mats will do when you consider the fact that they're underneath the foot all the time, when you consider the fact that they're contoured to the foot, when you consider the fact that they go inside the boot, they're inside that. It's almost like a customized solution for all of your employees. So if you're using anti-fatigue mats, I encourage you to check out our anti-fatigue insoles and see the difference for your employees and for your company.